Hey there, good friends. It's Mazzy here, and this is Mazzy's mix number, whatever it is. You saw the number before me. I haven't done a Mazzy's mix in a while, and what these videos are, and this is the best description I could think of, and I've been repeating this ad nauseum. This is like a potpourri, a mixtape, a potpourri, a trail mix. Because, you know, the thing about trail mix, it's all the crap that you wouldn't eat separately, thrown together, mixed up in a bag, stuck in a health food store, charged 3 times what the stuff individually would be, and you enjoy it because that's trail mix, basically. Kind of like granola, I guess. But I have some new records here, new releases for the most part, and a couple new to me. Couple of books in the end, and there might be a surprise in the middle here or whatever, but I want to start out with a prototype. My son Joseph is an illustrator amongst other things, and a storyboard artist, animator. Here we go, Mazzy Loves You, and it says the vinyl community on YouTube. Look at that. You know, it's a button. We'll see how that goes. But I have prototypes of a t-shirt. And it's not finished. Okay, this is my favorite only because I think I like the way the shirt blends into it. I don't like that plasticky shit on t-shirts. And I like these canvas, or called Bella canvas shirts. They're kind of lighter. They're more formed. So any of you larger types, whenever I do have these, whatever your size is, order one size up. Or order the size you think it is. It will be too small, and then order another one and give the other one away. It's going to be a while before I have these, but I like this one. Mazzy Loves You. There's going to be a line at the bottom saying the vinyl community. This is one version, another version, but I don't like this. This is that plasticky stuff. It's on a darker shirt, and I don't like that kind of, that stuff. So for some reason, even though I like this, I like the lighter one better. How it's just black and just jets off, personally. I'm gonna raise it up a little adjustments. I'm a perfectionist. It might not be what you want, and you might want something else, but tough. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do these yet. I don't like the companies that do the on-demand stuff, so I'm gonna have to do them directly and then send them out, and then all the different sizes and all that other chazarai, as they say. So that's gonna be a while. If you're interested, kind of give me feedback. Would you wear a t-shirt? Would you buy a t-shirt? Hey, another schmuck on the vinyl community selling a t-shirt. That's Mazzy Loves You. How egotistical is that? Okay, but I can't wear my own shirt, right? I don't think so. We'll see. All right, new records. I'm gonna start out with Mavis Staples and Levon Helm. Now, it's a little bit of a misnomer. The title's not what you expect it would be, for very good reason. This was from a live set recorded at Levon Helm's barn in upstate in Woodstock, New York. He would do these live shows in the last, 7, 8 years of his life. Amazing shows. I wish I could have gone to see one of his barn shows. And by that point, Levon obviously had cancer, and his singing was just subpar. Unfortunately, the year after this was recorded in 2011, he died. Levon Helm died. And I've been so excited waiting about this. It's a live record, but it's really well recorded. Mavis has her band, Levon has his band. Levon's on drums and only really joins in on vocals on the final track, which is, of course, The Wait. And Mavis and the Staples singers were they're friends of the band, and of course Staples singers had a great cover hit of The Wait way back in the day. If you've seen The Last Waltz, they weren't at The Last Waltz, but they're in the film. There's a couple of filmed segments that happened after The Last Waltz. Emmylou Harris and the Staples singers that are tacked on the end and with the band, and it's a great duet then of Levon Helm and Mavis Staples. Auntie has been in the last decade, 3 fantastic Mavis Staples records, one produced by Ben Harper, one by Jeff Tweedy, and one by Ry Cooder. Seek them out. Political songs and social songs, and that's why I love this record as well. But the soulfulness, the swampiness, the soulful of these songs, they open up with This Is My Country, an Impressions song course, there's Levon's drum set on the carpet in the barn. But now, the only problem I've had with this, I put it on and I thought, wait a second, something's wrong. I hate when records, okay, this is double 45 RPM. It's not an audiophile, but it's a really good recording. But nowhere on the cover or on the hype sticker does it say 45. So she was until I obviously heard it. Now, you look on the label, it says 45, but you know, you don't always look at that part. It should say somewhere 45 RPM. Still, clear vinyl, lovely record, polyline sleeves, the usual Chazarai, or the ones, you know, upgraded somewhat. A few pops and clicks, but that's not what my channel's about. You like the friggin' music, like the music. But really good album. If you don't have any Mavis Staples, you need, you know, Respect Yourself. That album, I don't remember the name of the album, but that Staples Singers album, which is really great. There's a great box set came out a few years ago of the Staples, their 70s, late 60s, 70s. Wonderful, wonderful. Gospel-y, soulful, you know, secular and very, you know, religious, but I love that music. Another one I got, now I haven't gotten all of his recent records. It's been about 6 years since I bought a Steve Earle record. I love his covers. It's the same artist who does all these covers. It's Tony Fitzpatrick and the great Danny Clinch doing the inside photography, well, this here at least. But this is an early picture, not by Danny Clinch, but this is an older picture of Steve Earle with Jerry Jeff Walker. And the series of albums he's been doing have been covers of different country singers. And this is all songs of Jerry Jeff Walker. If you don't know Jerry Jeff Walker, you should. One of the great sort of, you know, Austin-based country folk crossover singers. His most famous song that he wrote was Mr. Bojangles, that had, you know, was covered everyone from Randy Newman to David Bromberg, just so many people. You know, some hits for other people too, and he does that on here, and other songs. There's one of my favorite songs I wish he did is called LA Freeway. I have several Jerry Jeff Walkers on MCA Records, and I saw him countless times at the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco. And this is a pretty new record. Steve Earle and the Dukes, his band, Jerry Jeff it's called. And what beautiful artwork on these covers. I love it. So that's the rootsy stuff. Now we're gonna get into something a little different. Okay, this is a band that I didn't want to buy this because they have the worst fucking name for a band, and they're a Swedish band. And I think when they were learning English, I know, you know, in Sweden, students are smarter than Americans. They're taught a foreign language and they're taught English. And I think, you know, when you teach someone the bad words first, when someone comes here to the States and you're trying to teach them English, you learn all the swear words first. When I learned Russian swear words, like spotete zvolich, and yeah, I learned all the bad words first of every foreign language that I don't know. Well, I think they told him, oh, this is great. This is like psychedelic rock and rollers or something. And they used the name the Viagra Boys or Viagra Boys. What a shit-ass name for a band, but they're a Swedish band. And I kept resisting even buying this album. This is their third album, and it is called Cave World. Swedish band, Viagra. You say Viagra, I say Viagra Boys. If this came out in 1970s, it would have been on Stiff Records, but it's not. It's on, I don't even know what it's on. This is a fantastic record. Now, the first track, the guy has a low voice, the main singer. The first track really reminded me of Nick Cave with the side project Grinder Man. It's that kind of fierce rock and roll. It's when Nick Cave gets really intense. It's a great rock and roll record. It's loud, it's tense, a little bit punkish, more rock and roll, a little bit like, what's that English group that came out in 2007, 2008 from the UK that just burst on the scene from the UK. I'll think of it later. Someone is yelling it out right now. Reminds me of that band. Starts with an A? No, I'll think of it later. Anyway, really a wonderful record. This is a red vinyl. Look at that, kind of nice artwork. I love the artwork on this. I mean, that made it. Should I show this there? Is that the thumbnail? We'll see. Red vinyl. I mean, do you need to see another friggin' red vinyl record? I mean, do we need to show color records when they're color records? But the Viagra Boys, lovely. I mean, a rockin' record. It gets you up and dancing and feeling good. Now, speaking about up and dancing, I did show a couple weeks ago the Madonna's singles box set of her dance mix edits. Some people are all in a huff because they're not the long versions, but the whole premise is edits. So that's 50 edits, #1 on the dance charts. And I was reminded when I did that video and I was listening to it of this album. I've had it on CD, Ray of Light, and I ordered this, and this came out. This is, I think, a European press that came out in the last few years, so it's not a brand new release. But I forgot how great this record is. I have a compact disc of it. It's 2 records, single sleeve, but you know, it's about the music, because this is the CD era when records were longer than 40 minutes, 35 minutes. And I forgot how great, this is such a listenable record. It sounds great. And this is that period when she was working with William Orbit and Patrick Leonard again, of course, earlier stuff before this is Patrick Leonard, but the William Orbit is a big part of this. And with this record, it's really an amazing hybrid mix of electronica, dance music, psychedelia, and trip hop. And it just has a great, great mood to it. And this is Ray of Light. Of course, the hit off this was Ray of Light with that great, speeding by video. That was all over the whatever. Was MTV still around here? 1998, I think this record came out. 1998, yeah, I was right. I know something, I pay attention. But this might be my favorite Madonna record now. I mean, I like the earlier stuff, like A Virgin. My favorite song is still Like a Prayer. I love that song. But I think listenability, this is a really fantastic record. Actually, this should be it, because everyone likes Madonna, so what's the Beatle connection? Shanghai Surprise, Sean Penn. 2 great movies she made, maybe 3. Obviously, Desperately Seeking Susan, but I think she was amazing in Evita. So, Madonna. All right. This is one of 2 records I've been waiting for. But the companion record, which is totally different, the other record that's not out yet, it got delayed because they had a misprint in the cover art, I heard, came out in 2003. This is 2009, and this is David Sylvian Manophone. Okay, this is one of the most beautiful records I've been listening to lately. It just came out in the last couple of days. Blemish, the other one, that is one of my all-time favorite records. This is not for everyone. This is very minimal, electronic, little poetry beat. David Sylvian, of course, was in the band starting in '78, Japan, with his brother Steve Jansen, who changed his name, or David Sylvian changed his name from Jansen. He's done some amazing collaboration with a lot of artists, avant-garde, electronic. This has a electronic, avant-garde, minimalism, some Japanese tonalities, some neoclassical chamber music. There are parts of this you think your record is scratched and skipping, but it's not. That's the electronic artifacts within it. It is such a beautiful record, such a beautiful cover. Again, another double record, beautiful, gorgeous artwork David Sylvian has a lot of control of his recordings. And this is just a stunningly beautiful record. But again, it's a late night record, or very early in the morning, overnight. It's very ethereal and very ambient, and it's something you just can have on and walk around your house and walk around your room and experience it. Obviously it'd be a great headphone record if you're a headphone person, because it's got these just little clicks of electronic noises, and then his voice will come in with that low baritone David Sylvian voice. But I can't wait for Blemish. I think it got delayed a month or so, but I have that on order from 2 places just to make sure I get it, because that's been on my Discog want list, and $300-400 are the originals, and that's ridiculous. As much as I love the records, I have the CDs. Now, somebody out there, actually 3 different people recommended this, and I really apologize. I don't remember the 3 names off the top, but when I did one of my recent psychedelic, one of my San Francisco videos, I think, they suggested the Sons of Adam. Saturday Sons, a complete recording, 64 to 66. I never heard of this band in my entire life, which is really messed up because now they're not a San Francisco band. They're an LA-based band. They did play the Family Dog several times, the Avalon Ballroom. They played the Fillmore once or twice, and Bill Graham banned them from the Fillmore because one of the people had his girlfriend in the dressing room. Apparently, at that time, early on, Graham frowned on that. And he played with Big Brother, and they met Janis Joplin. Cool book. Alec Palio, who lives in the East Bay, who is a great, he reminds me of him and Andrew Sandoval are the best curators of 60s music for CDs. They do a lot of work for Razor and Tie, for Cherry, the UK-based reissue label. Andrew Sandoval did a lot of things for Rhino, and Alec did a box set on the Beau Brummel, so many things. He writes these, he puts them together. He had a band in the 90s in the East Bay called the Sneetches that I saw a few times. But I read this book because I didn't know anything about them. Now that I know the name, Sons of Adams, we had the Sons of Champlin. They came out of Baltimore. They moved to LA. They got really known in literally, I think they arrived in Hollywood the day JFK died, and they were early band that played. They were playing the Sunset Strip and the LA clubs in the Valley, and the drummer ended up quitting and joining Love. They're a contemporary of all these bands, Love and the Doors. In fact, earlier than that, and apparently one of the tighter bands. And it talks about here, which I would agree with. A lot of bands, when they came from the UK, and I heard this from the British blues bands, when they heard the San Francisco bands, they thought the San Francisco psychedelic bands were sloppy as hell and not great musicians, and the LA bands were slicker and tighter. But they're a great band. One record are the singles. Gary Usher, who worked with the Byrds and who was a Columbia A&R man and producer, produced some singles for them. Never a full record, but the other disc, or part of the disc, is live at the Avalon Ballroom in San Francisco, Chet Helms' Family Dog Ballroom. This is psychedelic, this is rock and roll, great lead guitar things. Randy Holden, for a while, would join Blue Cheer after this, the Bay Area, heavy band. And I read it all in the book, all in the book. So having this really wonderful separate book with interviews of the members and the whole history of the frustrations of rock and roll. This is one of those things at my age, growing up when I did, I guess I didn't hear about this band because they didn't release any albums, and singles weren't getting played in the Bay Area. And in 66, when they played the Avalon, I was too young going to the Avalon. So this is a fantastic, and I want to thank you all. 3 of you separately recommended this, and it's on High Moon Record. And by the way, Kevin Gray cut it. It's not an audiophile record, but Kevin Gray cut it. I guess it's cut it digitally probably, but who cares, right? If you like the music. Is the music stupid? All right. I did show a box set. I'm not going to review this because I showed it already. I did a whole thing on the Blondie 4LP outtake only box set. But I tell you, I mentioned in that video, this is the demo record. Side B is home tapes. Side 1 are 1974, 1975 demos. And this cover is different. That's in the main album, the big box set apparently. I keep going back to this. It's kind of lo-fi, but not totally. There's some demo stuff, and there's you really hear that again that Shirelles type of girl group type stuff. They do a cover of Ring of Fire on here, the June Carter, Johnny Cash cover song. I love this. It's just, I think this should come out for a record store day. Of course, they won't do it because they'll piss people off and buy the box, but screw that, If you can, it's worth it for this, at least from my point of view. The other 3 records in this set, are more studio recordings that sound better, but this doesn't sound bad at all. It's just fantastic. And look at that, almost like the Punk Fly or New Wave sets right there. And then the other two things I want to show, just because, two MoFis. This has never been on vinyl except for the MoFi version, and I have a CDs of this, and this is a great sounding record. And of course, both these are from a DSD step. I'm not gonna, relitigate the whole MoFi thing, but I ordered this before the MoFi scandal, and everyone's like, freaking out and burning their bras and burning their Beatle records and burning their MoFi records or something. This sounds really good. Now, this too. I have a 70s Columbia this, and this sounds better. It's not boomy bass like now some people are saying, oh, I knew there was something wrong in the recording. I knew there was something wrong in those MoFi records. Yeah, now they changed that to boomy bass, bad EQing. Well, the Miles Davis albums, from my point of view, except for Kinda Blue, I don't like the MoFi Kinda Blue at all. I mean, the UHQR is better, and there's other, Kevin Gray did a version, I think, or Bernie, I don't know, one of those guys. That's great. This is the 45 RPM. The sound is great. The separation it just got a good tonality to it. Tony Williams' drums are sharp. This is a second quintet. This is a record that came out, what year was this? 1969, I'm thinking. Is it 68 or 69? Ralph J. Gleason, who I've spoken about lately, wrote the liner notes, who was the Chronicle music critic and started Rolling Stone magazine with Jan Wenner. And of course, the quintet, Ron Carter, Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, Tony Williams, and Miles Davis. Chick Corea places Herbie Hancock on one track, and David Holland replaces Ron Carter on bass on one track. And of course, the MoFi. I don't have it. Oh, yes, I do. This is, some people don't even like this. They have new hype stickers that really say DSD, but some people think this is a cheap-ass mea culpa bullshit thing. But I get that. This is the first record and the only this is the first record that I ordered after the invasion of Mobile Fidelity into the digital realm. I do have pre-orders on 2 Warren Zevon albums that may or may not ever come out that I pre-ordered a year ago, the first 2 Asylum records. And but I don't buy the big the big one step, so that doesn't matter. I have about 60 MoFis, and I would say 40 to 45 of them I really love. The others are okay. So I think it's a pick and choose type thing. If you feel that you don't want to get into these and you want to, piss off the company or piss off yourself or shed your collections, I totally understand that. That's for everybody to decide on their own. But I blasted this in the house Sunday morning, and it was so great. Really well balanced and everything. And then I'm going to close out with 2 books. Oh, before I go to the books, I'm going to insert something. I think I do just a little showcase of some of my rock and roll photography collection. This isn't a definitive. I have some prints that aren't framed. I'll start with the signed print. This is from 12 of a 20 edition from Barry Feinstein, the late Barry Feinstein. And of course, it's at Friar Park. George Harrison from the All Things Must Pass album cover picture with his gnomes. This is a print, a 16 by 20 print I purchased from the expatriate of the time, Ethan Russell, who now lives in the Bay Area. This is a photograph he took of John Lennon in 1968, and it's titled John Lennon Listening to the White Album, London, 1968. He printed this as an edition of 8 of 500 from 1999. What a beautiful, beautiful photograph. This is a print I got from Jim Marshall, the photographer, San Francisco photographer. This is John Lennon backstage at Candlestick Park, their last tour. Looks a little sort of exhausted. It is signed, it's faded a little bit. This was printed in 1986 when I purchased it from Jim Marshall. This is a picture Ringo took on a timer. He has a book called Photographs, and I purchased this. This is when I met Ringo, and it's signed by Ringo. And it is number 15 of 25. This is a 20 by 24 print, I think, slightly maybe off and matted. This is from a Polaroid. This is scanned and taken from a Polaroid of John Lennon in the 70s, and this is during the Lost Weekend. This is a photograph taken and signed by May Pang, who was Yoko's assistant, who was sent with John to LA for his year-long finding himself. And this is Say Cheese. This is number 11 of 50, John Lennon in Los Angeles. This is a picture taken by Harry Benson also. And this is another picture of John looking sort of down and out. He's got a cigarette, pack of cigarettes, drinks. This was taken the evening at the hotel after he had apologized and do that press conference talking about the Beatles more popular than Jesus in 1966. He looks a little dejected there, doesn't he? But it's not signed, but it's by Harry Benson. This is a print of a proof sheet, medium format, Hasselblad, looks like. This was given to me. It says, to Norman. And this was a gift, actually, from Robert Freeman. Robert Freeman's the photographer, the late Robert Freeman. Took the covers of With the Beatles, Beatles for Sale, Help, Hard Day's Night, Rubber Soul. This is during the proof sheet for his book. Is it In His Own Right, I believe. He did the cover of that book. And this was a cool thing. I met Robert Freeman 3 times, and I have 3 of his photographs, including this. And lastly, this is a photograph, a young George Harrison taken by Jürger Vollmer in Hamburg. Unfortunately, the Yahoo who did this print, they put this sticker on the back and it's bleeding through the back. And it was the sticker from the agency that was representing Jürgen. What a shit show. I work with photographers and you never do that on a print. You do it on the mat. So I'm kind of bullshit there, but anyway, it's a great shot. Okay, you see the books now. I inserted something. I'm not sure what I'm inserting yet, but I want a little, if I'm doing a trail mix, I need to put some other like cashews or raisins or birdseed in there. So you just saw something, and now you're seeing the book section. 2 books. Harry Benson was a famous British photographer, and he has this book on Paul McCartney, simply titled Paul. This is Taschen, the great art label. There's been various versions of this book, signed, expensive things. This is the normal trade edition. I am a collector of photography books in terms of the Beatles, so I have a whole collection of these. But this is a fantastic version. Family pictures, wings, you know. It's just solo years. I mean, it's not a book for every, oh, here's a picture of Harry Benson, somewhat later picture. And there's a picture during A Hard Day's Night on set. So a nice book, not an essential book for most people, but this is, if you're a Stones fan, I've spoken so many times about Jim Marshall, photographer I knew who died about 12, 13 years ago. And he went on tour for Rolling Stone, I believe, for the Rolling Stone 72 Exile on Main Street tour. I didn't know Jim then. I finally met Jim in the late 1970s, 1979 or 1980 maybe. This is a 50th anniversary edition of these photographs. A woman named Amelia Davis is his curator, owns his entire archive. She was his archivist and assistant, and when he died, he had no family. He left his entire archive to Amelia, who's done an amazing job curating and putting out a series of wonderful books. I recently showed the Haight-Ashbury book he did. He did the Monterey Jazz Festival book. He did a whole book called Jim Marshall. I mean, there's so many great, Johnny Cash, the prison books, Folsom and Quentin. He did that famous shot of Johnny Cash. But this, you've seen a lot of these photographs, and so it celebrates the 50 years of this tour and these photographs. There's Bill Graham. I saw this concert. He played 4 shows. They played 4 shows at Winterland in 72. And it was 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 2 days in a row. I went to the first night, the 8 o'clock show. Stevie Wonder opened up that. I don't know if he was on the whole tour, but really well done. And again, if you like the Rolling Stones and photography, I think this is kind of a must-have book. It's a great photo book. Amelia goes through the whole archive, not all his negatives. He shot almost all black and white, not all, but a lot of it. And he shot with a Leica camera. Always had at least, in later years, one around his neck, but he had two Leicas in the early days around his neck. And Leica, the great camera, actually has like a Jim Marshall edition you can get. I think it's like 15 or 20 grand. A little out of my range, but great book, great overview book. So that is the Trail Mix, Mazzy's mix. So enjoy. Mazzy loves you.